Imagine this, it's 1968 and students in Paris are building barricades protesting for change. Across the Atlantic, young people are marching against the Vietnam War. And in Eastern Europe in 1989, young people are tearing down walls, both literally and metaphorically. For decades, younger generations have been synonymous with progress. But today is different, something is shifting. Gen Z men are more conservative than women in Western democracies, but also in Eastern Europe. Let's dive into why this is happening. Let's start with some numbers. In the United States, during the last election, 56% of young men between 18 to 29 supported Donald Trump, and only 42% of women in the same age group supported Kamala Harris, the Democratic candidate. Historically, this gender divide in party preferences has widened. Decades ago, men and women shifted between political parties more evenly. Today, men lean more conservative, while women lean more progressive. In Germany, for example, young men are twice as likely to vote with the far-right AfD party. And in Poland's 2023 elections, 26% of men under 29 voted for the far-right coalition Confederation, compared to 6% of young women. These numbers reveal a pattern. Young men are more attracted to conservative and sometimes far-right movements. But why?
Chapter 2. Education and Opportunity.
Well, this is a positive step for gender equality. It's created a significant gap. Women enter more progressive spaces, they earn more degrees, and they find more upward mobility in the jobs they gain. But for many young men, the picture looks different. Studies show that men are more likely to skip university because they believe that they don't need higher education for the jobs they seek. 80% of jobs in manufacturing, trades, and machine operations are held by men, and these jobs are at risk of automation and globalization. This lack of upward mobility creates frustration, and when people are frustrated, they are more receptive to messages like, "It's not your fault, it's them." Chapter 3. The role of economic frustration. Here's where it gets interesting. A study from the University of Gothenburg found that in the areas in Europe where unemployment was rising, men were more likely to express hostile sexism. In Poland, unemployment is low overall, but the regions bordering Ukraine face higher rates of unemployment. The same regions also have the most supporters of Law and Justice and the Confederation Party, which are both conservative parties. Economic insecurity is not just about money, it's about identity. So losing your economic stability can also feel like you're losing your place in society, which makes men more insecure. And this is a situation that far-right parties often take advantage of. Chapter 4. Changing social expectations. Beyond economics, social norms are evolving, and not everyone is keeping up at the same pace. As women make strides in education and at the workplace, traditional ideas about masculinity and male roles are being challenged. For some young men, this can feel like losing ground, and that's why they gravitate towards ideologies that tell them they don't have to change, and that they're going to restore the traditional roles that they used to. Influencers, podcasts, online communities amplify these messages, framing progress as a zero-sum game. If women win, men lose. This creates a feedback loop where frustration feeds into more conservative politics and attitudes. Chapter 5. Social media and polarization. And then there's social media. Platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube have become breeding grounds for conservative influencers who target young men and create a community where they find answers to questions about masculinity in a changing world. Algorithms reinforce these messages, creating echo chambers, thus creating a digital environment where different views rarely meet. Chapter 6. The disconnect from politics. But here's a twist. Many young people actually don't lean into politics at all. Studies show that men and women alike feel poorly represented by traditional politics. Many of them don't actually vote. And this creates this void where fringe ideologies can thrive. In Romania, a Frederick Ebert Stiftung study shows that young men don't necessarily lean into progressive ideas, but don't actually trust the political system either. So, in short, there's 3 reasons why young men feel drawn to conservatism. There's economic frustration, changing social norms, and the influence of social media. This video is not about blaming young men for leaning more conservative. It's about understanding the systems and the insecurities that lead them to think that way. If you want to address this trend, we need to focus on education, economic opportunity, and creating spaces where men don't feel left behind. And most importantly, we need to offer better narratives, ones that include everyone in the story of progress. What do you think? Do you see this trend where you live? Drop a comment below and let's start a conversation.